Hey everyone, welcome to Bickering Book Reviews. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Becky.
And today we're talking about Loathe at First Sight by Suzanne Park. And we got this off of Edelweiss, right?
I think I got off of Edelweiss, yes.
Alright, so this is about Melody, who is on a production team for a video gamer. So she's one of the very few two women working for this gaming company. And it's definitely a misogynistic, terrible, toxic environment, but she's passionate about it, and it's where she wants her career. And she just kind of is joking around with one of the other females in the office, the other one. And they were just like joking about like this game where they turn kind of the gender identities like on its head. Like it's not going to be the women with big boobs and tiny waists. It's going to be male strippers coming after like zombies and monsters, and just kind of putting men in the place of where women usually are in video games. And the guy is he the owner of the company, or is he like the CEO?
He's like the CEO because he doesn't own the company.
Okay, so the CEO overhears them, and it turns out nobody knows this, but the company is kind of in financial issues, and they are known for not really kind of playing to appeasing, no, like being diverse. They're not diverse, and they don't acknowledge kind of the female demographic.
They don't create products for people other than white men.
Right.
And they're being told diversify.
Right. So, in effort to do that, they are going to put forth this game that they jokingly talked about with the strippers, and Melody's on this kind of production team as like the leader. But along the way, she's also dealing like with poopy coworkers. Like she was in a desk, and then like the CEO kicks her out of her desk for the intern, who turns out to be his nephew. And so now she's got this new office mate who's a total jerk. And then also kind of some pranks and different things are happening, like sabotages are happening throughout the office, and she's trying to figure out like who it is. And then like add into all of that, you've got her parents who want her to get married. You've got her friends, the one who's kind of like a frenemy almost, who asks her to be the maid of honor. And then her other friend has some kind of unexpected things go on. So she is trying to manage all of that, and along the way she finds that she kind of is starting to have some feelings for Nolan, the nepotism intern. And that's kind of where it's at, because this is supposed to be a romance book. So
you kind of hit it right there. So I didn't love this book. I thought I would love this book. And I think that there's a lot of reasons why I didn't love this book. It felt uneven to me. Like, it doesn't feel like a romance book, but it also doesn't feel like a women fiction book. So I don't know, like, what the idea is here.
See, and it feels unbalanced for me, but in a different way. I actually had an epiphany when I was reading this book, and that is as it relates to characters. The amount of characters I like in this book does not equal the amount of characters I dislike in this book, or that we're kind of set to dislike, because she's created these characters who you're really not supposed to like, and I need a better balance of like likable characters and characters who I can connect with and respond to, and there isn't that balance here. Like, she doesn't even like her friends, which is weird. Like, the main character, doesn't seem to like anybody, number one. But I kind of like the main character because she kind of says things to these toxic masculine men that like you wish that they would say in all of the other books.
But doesn't it feel kind of like you're being talked to, like it's a lesson? Like you're being told that this is wrong and you should stand up for yourself. Like it just...
I don't feel that way. I mean, I personally didn't feel that way.
See, and I did not like her. And, like, thinking about it, like, she doesn't treat anybody particularly well. Like, she is not likable. Like, she's not particularly kind to her parents. She's not particularly kind to Nolan. She's kind of horrible to the friend, like the one friend, the one. She's not horrible to the friends. The one friend, she is there for her when the one friend has things that happen. But I I didn't like connect. I didn't root for her, and I feel like this should be like Working Girl. Like you should want her to succeed, and you should. And I was just like, nah.
Yeah,
But
and
did the toxic masculinity, like Asher, it got to a cartoonish level. And I realized that this might be like what is really happening, but it was just like, I get it.
I get some of it, but then also some of it, and I think this is just kind of something that I need to kind of retrain my brain on. But like, she wasn't particularly qualified for the job that she got.
No, and that drove me crazy too, because it kind of seemed like she just woke up one morning and was like, I'm going to make video games now. And then when everybody's like, well, how did you get this job? Why are you qualified for this job? You know, this guy who's worked here for 5 years wanted that job and you got it over him. She's like, yeah, so. But at the same time,
She's not qualified.
right. Like, she doesn't seem to know what she's doing. And like literally there's a line about how being a video game like executive was on her bucket list. And I'm like, why is that on your bucket list? Because she doesn't particularly seem to be a gamer.
No, you're right about that, actually.
So, and I think that this book is probably also hurt for me. Brenna Aubrey has a series of books, and I think they were directly published to Kindle that take place in the world of like video game design and people who are gamers. And like you can tell reading that book, like the characters are like gamers, and that obviously the author knows something about video games. I didn't get that from this book.
No.
And also comparing it to that book, the romance in this is non-existent. I kind of wish they had just not gone there. That they had just made this book about like her growing and like, which doesn't really happen, and her just like accomplishing things. Or maybe like if she had like a long-term boyfriend who like really didn't play into the plot. But I feel like her like the relationships with Nolan, like it's just like barely there.
Well, and it's so convoluted. I never look at covers. I never read descriptions before we go into this. I mean, we've talked about that in many other videos. So I didn't actually know from the outset who the romantic interest, the romantic lead is going to be. And without knowing that key piece of information, like I couldn't figure out who it was going to be because she was having so many problems with so many people that like none really seemed to kind of have that something that I wanted to like invest myself in and like hope that and kind of root for.
Well, and then I also got to the point, I'm like, why is Nolan putting up with her? She was kind of horrible to him. Also, I remember like as I was reading it, I kept thinking like it felt like nothing happened, and then like you'd have like a big event. Like a very like overly written thing, and then nothing would happen, nothing would happen, nothing would happen. So it was like parts of it were really boring, and then you would have something happen that didn't really fit into what the characters were doing.
Well, and the timelines were weird. Like the parents like went to Italy, but it felt like a day trip. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no. There were a lot of things. There were other things that set timelines didn't make sense.
We just need to rate this thing.
We should rate it.
Let's just rate it. Our rating scale goes from 5 unicorns down to 2 unicorns. If we don't like it, it doesn't get a horn and is therefore a horse. So, where are you?
I'm at a 2.
So, I came into this, like, when we started filming, I came into this with thinking about a 3, but now that we've, like, talked about it, like, I think I'm going to have to give it a 2 as well.
There are just better options. Well, and that's the thing, like, after I finished reading it, I'm like, this feels like a 2, but maybe I'm not seeing something, because sometimes when we talk, I end up going up, because I'm like, we're talking, and I'm like, oh, well, there was that great character development, or I missed this whole subplot for some reason. But talking about it, I'm like, no, it's a 2.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Really, the best part of the book is the title.
It was a good title.
which is what I always said about Devil Wears Prada. So, um, so that is where we are on Loathe at First Sight, and we'll see you around.
Yay.
Bye.